Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and there is a super important step to getting our spaces organized that most of us are skipping. When we are ready to get our space organized, there's lots of things that we want to jump in and do right away. You might want to go shopping for new organization pieces, maybe new furniture, things like that. You might be ready to start the destash process. You might be ready to grab that garbage bag and start throwing all the things in. I know I've been in that place, usually when it comes to my kids' rooms, not so much my craft room. But before you jump into all of those different things, you are missing one important step, and that is what we're going to talk about in this video. Plus, I have a free download available for you, so stay tuned and I'll tell you how to get it. All right, so what is the first thing that you should do when you are ready to start getting your creative space organized? That would be make a plan. Make a detailed plan of what you are looking for in your craft studio, in your creative space, and that plan is going to be what sustains you through the whole process of putting together your space and creating a space that you love. If you don't stop, take a second, take stock of what is in your space, take stock of what you are looking for in your space, then that's going to kind of inhibit you. You're going to run into roadblocks and you're not going to have clear signs to get you out of those roadblocks, to get you through them. And so I think taking time to make a plan, to dig in, to decide, what do you have? What do you want? What are you looking for? Those are really important things to define as you start the process. And it can be, it can feel slow. It can feel like you are just delaying getting actually started, but making a plan, I promise, is actually going to give you the energy and the longevity to get through an entire organization project. As you are getting started, organizing or reorganizing or refreshing or setting up for the first time, as you're getting started working in your creative space, there are a few questions that I want you to ask yourself. The first one is, what do you like to do? This seems like a really obvious question, but the truth is, as creatives, as people that have loved crafting for a long time, you have probably gone through several different types of hobbies. Maybe you used to be a 12 by 12 scrapbooker and now you love creative planning. Maybe you used to make jewelry and now you're very much into diamond dots. What do you actually like to do in this moment? That's an important question to ask yourself, because you want your space set up for what you like to do right now, not what you used to like to do in the future, not what you may want to do or like to do in the past, or what you may want to do in the future. But set it up now, knowing that yes, you do have to refresh your space. You will be making room for more hobbies in the future. You may have a rotating basis of things that are coming in and then going out, because there's just different seasons of life when you like to do different things. But taking stock of what you like to do in this moment, the hobbies that you are interested in, and setting up your space for that is going to be really important. Then being realistic about the space you have. It can be really tempting to watch all of the craft room tours online. I know that is like my guilty pleasure. It relaxes me. I love watching craft room tours. But you cannot get attached to a craft room tour or ideas for a craft room that don't work with the space you have. If you have an entire basement, that is fabulous. If you have one wall in your dining room, that will work too. But really be realistic with yourself about the space you have. Take the measurements, jot them down, just really assess where you can be. Some of you have multiple rooms. Some of you have all of your stuff in different rooms and you're hoping to fit it all into one room. Well, you need to know the specifics of that room, what you have to work with, and then what organization pieces do you already have. This is important. You want to try to work with what you have. Will it always work? No. Will it always be ideal? No. But in general, when we're setting up these spaces, this is not a start from scratch, buy all new furniture kind of situation. You're probably working with what you have. Maybe you are trading out pieces here and there, but you want to take stock of what is available to you. The other thing that I want you to think about is take some time to think about what your goals are for this space. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I wanted to walk you through how I work through a plan like this. This is, of course, the printable that's going to be available for you. Again, I'll have more information for you at the end of the video, how you can get this printable and how you can use it to start working on your space here at the end of 2023 so that you're ready to kick off 2024 completely ready to go and have your most creative year yet. All right, so let's dig into craft room hobbies. Like I said, for your craft room hobbies, you want to take time to write down the hobbies that you are interested in this moment. Hobbies change. Creative lives kind of go different ways. There was a time that I loved wood burning. There was a time that I was a lot more into jewelry making and small pieces, and it kind of changes here and there. So take some time to write out your current hobbies so that when you are taking stock of what is in your space, you can make sure that it relates directly to one of those hobbies. If it doesn't relate to one of those hobbies, if it relates to hobbies of the past, then that might be a signal to you that you can clear out that item. So let me take a minute to take stock of some of the hobbies that I am loving right now. All right, so what does it tell me when I have these 5 things? These are the 5 things that came to mind, top of mind, things I was interested in. Well, what I immediately think as I'm looking around my current space is that I had a huge section of my wall space dedicated to vinyl. Do any of these really require vinyl? Not as much as I'm currently holding on to. So that's something that I'm keeping in the back of my mind, that perhaps if I am looking for more space or more possibility, that might be something to consider adjusting in the future. So that's the thing that jumps out at me right away. I specifically did memory keeping as opposed to scrapbooking because I'm liking a lot of different formats. I don't do 12 by 12, but I do a lot of smaller type format memory keeping. So I'm going to keep that in mind, that maybe some of the 12 by 12 scrapbooks and things like that I might have in this room can kind of exit, might not be the most necessary things anymore. And then I just put Glowforge because that is a tool that I've had for about a year. I'm still wanting to learn a lot more about my Glowforge, so we're just going to keep that there as a thing that requires a lot of different materials. So something to keep track of. Tell me what some of your current craft room hobbies are, and tell me what is occurring to you as you're thinking about those hobbies. What in your craft room is kind of ready to go to the side, ready to go out the door, because maybe it's not in your current hobby set. Now, yes, that means it's time to pull out the old tape measure, get some measurements of your space. It doesn't have to be super specific at this point. For me, that's going to look like this. I have a basic kind of rectangle-ish room. Yes, it kind of has a part that juts out that goes up the stairs, but we're going to just leave that. The basic part that I work with is a rectangle. We're talking 14 feet by about 35 feet, which is pretty large, that's for sure. Over here we have kind of a doorway. Over here, this is the sliding door. I'm going to just go ahead and mark those and then put this right here. Then I have a closet in this section. So those are the basic bones of my room and things that I want to consider as I'm planning out my space. Then as you are looking around your space, I want you to choose some positive words about your space. It can be so easy to go to the negative. Maybe your space is not as big as mine, and maybe you're thinking my space is small, my space is dark, my space is cramped. You can think of all the negative words, but let's think of some positive words. So for me, we had lighting put in here. So my space is pretty bright. It feels cozy even though it's large, it still feels like a cozy room because it only has the sliding door. So it and just has a nice feeling to it. It has laminate floors, which I happen to love. So that is awesome. And I mean, it's large. I have a large space. So those are positive things about my space, not things I want for my space, but looking at it, looking at the bones of the space, what is good about your space? Because it's important to know that so that you can build on those things. You can also take time to sketch out maybe individual walls in your space. Maybe you have certain built-ins that are there that you're working with, sketching them out, taking some measurements, measuring drawers, things like that. Have some sketches ready to go before you're even starting to use your space. Now, try not to limit yourself to where furniture is currently located. By built-ins, I'm meaning things that you can't move, bookshelves that are immovable. Don't consider your space based on what it looks like now. Consider the really bare bones because you can always adjust certain things. So draw out some different examples of what is going on in your space and how you might want to move it. All right, here's the thing that I would prefer to skip, mostly because sometimes it a little bit overwhelms me. I want to take stock of what I already have that could be used to organize. And this might be things throughout the house. Maybe it's things in your garage that are a possibility that you could pull into your creative space. It's not saying you will use it. It's not saying that you're definitely going to use these supplies. These are things that are just available to you. So for instance, in my space or available to me, I have 2 tall bookcases. I have 2 medium bookcases. I have one skinny bookcase. I have cabinetry. I currently have 4 tables. I have a folding table, small desk, an island, and an IKEA table around my space. I have, let's see, 2 carts, 1 cart with trays, and then I would go through and count all of the bins. So I have clear bins in large, medium. I have desk bins. I have frosted bins, medium. You want to list out all of the different possibilities. It might be certain shelves. I have acrylic shelves. And it's not necessarily what they're holding now, it's what the possibilities are for the future. So I have picture ledges. I have a pegboard. And let's see, I have a ladder. I have so many things. Alex drawers. And these are things that are currently in my craft room. When I had a smaller space, I would take time to think of the things around my home. I would shop my home in a way, maybe pull in certain pieces that weren't working well in the living room that I could have used in my craft space. Maybe taking some storage from the garage and shifting it over. Maybe taking things out of my craft space and moving it to a different part. Shifting the things around in your home saves you money. It might allow you to maximize your space a little bit more. So take some time, look at what you already have. Don't think I don't have anything or I don't have any organization, because the truth is most of us have a lot that we're just not thinking of. And if you just take a few minutes to really look around, take some notes on what's available to you, that's going to save you money in the end so that you're not starting from scratch with your organization. Last but not least is you want to set your goals. This is really important. Setting the goals for your craft space. It's not just, I want to create a craft space. There has to be a reason why. Whenever you're able to connect a reason why or a specific goal with a task, then you're going to be much more successful in actually achieving that task. So if you're wanting to organize your craft space, you need a reason. What's the reason why you want to organize your craft space? What's the reason why you want to create this dream craft space in the first place? Why do you want a craft space? This is my reason for wanting a craft space from the beginning. Whether I had this large room, whether I was in a literal closet, I used to just be on one wall of the kids' playroom. I want a space that will hold my creative supplies so that I can have fun and create projects that inspire me. It feels exciting to walk into a space on my own, no matter the size. So my very first craft space was the corner of a dining room in a one-bedroom apartment. But I set up that little corner to inspire me as I walked towards it, and I loved it. It moved to inside a really tiny little closet in a basement of our very first townhouse, a literal closet where my husband and I both had our things. I still set up a space that I found inspiring that allowed me to house all of my creative supplies. And of course, it's morphed over the years, but this has always been the goal of why I wanted a craft space. And then how do you want to feel in your craft space? That is different for everyone. You might want to feel calm. You might want to feel centered. I tend to want to feel energized. I want to feel excited. I want to feel bright and happy. Those are words that come to mind. That is how I like to feel in my space. We all have different things that inspire our creativity. So take some time to brainstorm how you want to feel. And then what specific goals do you have? Again, this is going to be individual to each of us. You might be creating a multi-use space. You might want to hide all of your supplies, or for me, I like to see as many supplies as possible. All right, that might be your goal. You might be one of those people that is overwhelmed by seeing all of the supplies. So you might want to shift that goal. Maybe you've been crafting forever and you're actually downsizing. That might be one of your goals, is to downsize. Mine might be to possibly display more projects. I don't often display completed projects, so that might be a goal. Set some specific goals for how you want the space to function so that you can keep those in mind as you are working through your organization plan. Taking time to make a plan before you pull out a single trash bag, before you fill a single bin, is really important. And this is a plan you can refer to as you begin the rest of the process. Yes, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of steps in setting up your creative space, but this is a really important one. And like I said, I think it's one we tend to skip. If you would like this download, I will actually have it available over on my website, ScrappyWife.com. Go check it out. It's just been recently updated. I'm in love with it. It is a great place for all things Scrappy Wife. So I'd love for you to head over there. You can check out the shop tab and you will find this download for free. So head on over there and check that out. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below. I love having conversations with you all down there. So let me know what you think of creating this organization plan and as you get started getting your space in order. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you all so much for your support. It's just the absolute best having a creative community that can cheer you on through all of your creative endeavors, from projects to organization. it's a great place to be, and there are a ton of perks available over on Patreon. Today is a great day to check it out and start your free trial, so you can check out the link to Patreon down in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.